You are about to listen to the Neverdaily podcast.
This is the biggest thing since the Zapruder film.
So many questions.
I don't have any answers.
But please don't stop listening
To the Neverdaily podcast.
Welcome to the Neverdaily podcast. Welcome to the Neverdaily episode podcast from 1159 Media. If you're listening to this, there's possible two ways you're listening to this. One is you're listening to it on the free feed, which means you're listening to it wherever podcasts can be listened to. Or two, you have joined 1159plus.com. If you haven't joined 1159plus, you need to ask somebody who has, is it worth it? And you know what I'm going to tell you right now? I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm not going to tell you if it is or isn't, because I want you to know that I want people who are a part of 1159 Plus to tell you that.
What if they tell them it isn't?
Huh? What if they tell them it isn't worth it?
Yeah.
Then I believe that is probably the most honest marketing we could do, is put it in the hands of our community.
Oh, you're doing the whole, our product speaks for itself thing.
Slaps
one of the
top
oldest marketing strategies.
Slaps the roof of the podcast. What's going to take to get you into this podcast?
Yeah.
Today. I think it works. Hey, Kent.
What?
What's the most money you've ever won at one time?
I don't think I've ever won any money.
Like you never won the lottery? You didn't win a scratch ticket or anything like that? Okay.
Have you ever been to Vegas? I don't buy lottery tickets. I've never been to Vegas. I've never. I think I would rather go to Pakistan than Vegas.
Would it be fair to say that you feel like spending money on gambling is antithetical to the way that you live your life?
Are you asking me if I have a problem with it morally?
No, just like it's antithetical to the way that you live your life. It doesn't necessarily have to be a moral. It doesn't need to. It doesn't need to be putting you to moral turpitude.
I just don't have that thing in me where the desire to spend the money, or the question of what if outweighs my willingness to spend the money.
So there's no itch that you need to scratch. Like you've never had the itch. Like, I wonder if I played one time. What if I won? What if I won?
I don't buy lottery tickets. I don't play the lottery. I don't gamble. I don't do any of that.
All right. Fair enough.
I'll tell you why. I can pinpoint the exact point in my life where I said, I will never gamble again. And I was maybe 11 years old.
If you say axolotls, I'm turning.
Had nothing to do with axolotls. This is at a time I didn't even know what an axolotl was. I was 11 years old. I was at a bowling alley. And at the bowling alley, they had one of those quarter machines where the base rolls in and out. And you drop the quarters and they stack up and the quarter falls.
Pull quarter dumper.
Yeah, and it pushes the quarters. And I had like 50 cents. I put it in that machine and I bet I got like probably $7 in quarters.
Really?
And I was like, and I did get that itch. And I was like, wow. Holy, and that rush of all those quarters falling. And then I turn around. So what I should have done is walked away. But I turned around and put every single one of those quarters back into that machine and got nothing. And right then and there, I was like, I don't like how this feels. And that fixed me for gambling for the rest of my life.
And you just walked away, your head held high, ice creams on your feet, just
completely scratched that itch for the rest of my life.
All right. Well, I'm just glad you answered the question, because the question was, what's the most money you ever won at one time? And you said $7 in quarters.
It was like $6-7 in quarters.
All right. Well, moving on. What's the best contest that you've ever won?
I don't know that I've
It's
ever won
different
a
than gambling. You've never won a contest of any kind.
Like, I mean, sports don't count.
Okay. Contest / you entered a giveaway or you entered a thing, and they're like,
Never entered a
congratulations, you
giveaway.
won. You've never won a giveaway or anything like that.
No.
Never won one of those giveaway contests, or just please tell me you've never gone into a mall and seen a car and they're like, you could win this car, and
Never
you
done
wrote
that.
Good, because do you know what happens? Then for the rest of your life, you get phone calls about timeshares in Cancun. I went to the rodeo the other night and they were like, do you want some rodeo bucks? I'm like, I don't know what that is. And it's fake money. And I was like, no, thanks. And I went a little bit further and like, do you want a ticket? Do you want a ticket to win this? You just have to go over here and push on the touch screen and put the number of your ticket in and your email address. And I'm like, no, you're trying. And then I did. I looked over and underneath the little covered awning was a poster, a banner on the back of the awning that had pictures of vacation spots. I was like, you guys are doing the car thing. And they were like, don't tell anybody.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to the rodeo now. We're going to pretend this never happened.
I got a question. And you sent Marcos from the rodeo the other night.
Yeah.
Not counting what was in your mouth, how many teeth were there?
Per capita?
Per capita.
Okay, I got to be honest here. Full dental report. Full. Like I would say full. Not only that, but I told my wife, I said, I am seeing more breasts. Like,
oh, okay.
Tantalizingly exposed or almost exposed, or just, we're talking peacock level girls wandering around this rodeo, boots, short shorts, and not really even what I would call a shirt.
So just
so many
boobs.
Peacocks. What?
Boots and boobs.
Yeah. So many peacocks.
I'm suddenly interested I'm intrigued by the rodeo.
I got to tell you, I said, I've seen more slutty behavior here in the way people are dressed and flaunting themselves than I think I would see at like an adult video convention.
I'm telling you,
And
the rodeo
agreed.
would be a lot more popular if all of the riders were female in tube tops.
Here's what's wild about that is when they introduce like all of the rodeo queens, they come blasting out on their horses holding flags, and they're riding at 38 miles an hour, and they're just like, hey, and their bodies don't move at all, and they're waving, but the horse is just freaking on fire. And I'm like, that would be hard to do. Hold a flag, wave to the audience because you're a beauty queen and you're riding on Terror, the horse from Down Under. Crazy.
Have I ever told you about the time my mom chased a greased pig at the county fair after a rodeo?
No.
The fucking hardest, on God, the hardest I've ever laughed in my life. I almost died.
Do they still do that at those places?
Yeah, we were at the county fair and they tied a $100 bill to the back of a greased pig's tail and then asked for volunteers to come and chase the pig in the mud. And in front of half my hometown, my mom got down there in the mud and chased a greased pig around the rodeo area.
Did she get the 100?
She didn't. She just ended up covered in mud. She fell. She had mud on her hair.
Shoot.
It was both. It was the most redneck I've ever felt in my life, watching my mother chase a greased pig in mud, and also the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Jess, will you take a note that we need to find the time when that fair is happening again? I will be in the Kentucky area, and I will surprise his mom with a quick trip down there, and I will say, hey, guess what you get to do today? She'll be like, what? And I'll be like, you get to get that dollar bill. You get that $100. You're going to get it this time. And she's like, are you serious? We're going to do this? And I'm like, yes. And then we're going to recreate that moment. She's going to cry because she's going
What
to
we
get
should
on.
do is get you naked, grease you up, and tape the $100 bill to your ass, and have her chase you.
Okay.
And just be
But
going,
I
jumping around. And
I agree. I'll concede. I will do this thing. I just need you to know that the fallout, the consequences from this, I am not held accountable for. Meaning, if you end up having a brother
oh, because your cock is so huge.
from this situation, you need to accept the fact that he is your brother.
Out of your shorts.
Also, somehow, I'm kind of your dad at that point, okay? Deal?
I think I would accept that for the laughs.
Okay.
Daddy.
Now we just need to get your mom in on this. So, like, she needs to be willing. There's only two things she needs to agree to. One's going to be irresistible, and the other, is $100. So
the second hardest I think I've laughed with Mom. On the farm one time, we were walking out to go fishing in a pond, and my little sister was probably maybe 3 years old, and we had cattle. And my little sister ran out in front of us, and we were walking between the cattle. And one of the mama calves started like rushing at my sister, and my mom, in a panic, went running. Like, what are you going to do? Even if it's a cow, it's a 1,200-pound cow. What the fuck are you going to do, Mom? If that cow wants my little sister Natalie, she's going to have it. Mom, you weigh 130 pounds dripping wet. But Mom started running after her and slipped in cow shit and fell for what seemed like 15 minutes. It was like, whoa, whoa. She fell forever. In my head, she's still out on that farm falling right now, and that happened in like 1997, 1999.
Oh man. I think we can get her in on this. I think she's going to be interested. All right, so I have one more question for you, and then we're going to do a really quick segment called unboxing. We'll get there in a second. What's something that nobody, and this is a question for all of us, because we've got Kent here. We have Chase here, who the new excuse why Chase is here is he's the editor and he needs to have a little more context and visibility on the show so that the edits go a little more smoothly. In reality, Chase is here because we really like Chase. And just it's fun. We could go an hour and 47 minutes in an episode and Chase will like unmute himself and interject himself for like 3 seconds. And it's the most appropriate interruption we've ever heard. And then on the other side of the spectrum, we have producer Jess, who's here. And when she interrupts, I get mad because she outdoes the research.
Yeah.
That I've worked so hard to do.
Or corrects your research.
Yeah. She proves me wrong too much. And that makes me mad. But she's like, I can't get rid of her now. I tried to fire her and she's like, you don't even pay me, you stupid idiot.
She actually turned around and fired you.
She did.
She said, no, I'm not. You are. And you actually started packing up your booth there in your house.
It's weird, but I am collecting unemployment from me. And it was approved by Jess.
Because Jess hired you from your company.
I don't know what's going on anymore. It's weird. But so here's a question for all of us. So put your thinking caps on this one. What is something that nobody knows based on the veneer that is your life and your personality, character, whatever? Hold on one sec. Sam's calling me. This could be bad. Hold on. Sorry. He's asked, hey.
What? I need to call you.
Well, we're on FaceTime. What's up?
What's the billing code? Like the zip code?
He's using my debit. What?
What phone number do you want on it?
You don't even realize what you did. I've made this mistake in the past. I still get text messages randomly. Oh, he muted himself.
He muted himself after everyone already heard the phone
Just
number.
muted
so
him.
That worked.
I still randomly, I did this a year ago, and I'll still randomly sometimes 1:30 in the morning get texts. Hey, fucker.
I put it in the notes. I don't know why it's not letting me unmute him, though.
She put him on permamute.
Oh, I just figured out how to mute. So Jess has like super admin abilities now. It's like that had to be cleared by the NSA for me to unmute. That took forever. I'm still on FaceTime with Sam. He's trying to set himself up with a car wash subscription. So, because his truck gets so dirty and it's really bad. So I was like, why don't you go down and just get the unlimited car wash thing for it's like $9.99 here. So I gave him my debit card. And so he's there trying to, is it working?
No, not at all.
Not at all?
I have to. You sent me super unprepared, so.
That's how I like to do things.
What?
What?
You sent me super unprepared. Now I have to run through all my notes.
Okay. Love you. Okay. I'm going to put you over here. All right. So moving on. Sam, you just yell at me if you need me, okay?
No, you can help it.
So, but we can move forward with this question. I'll just be the last one to answer it. What is something that nobody knows that you seriously don't do well? Like you're like special needs dysfunctional at it, but you kind of hide it. You hide it, or you're just not, nobody would know. We're going to
go
start
first,
with Jess. I've got something for Jess if she doesn't have anything. I'll lead into this one.
Grammar, my spelling.
Okay. If you've ever received a text message from Jess, it's like she's texting using only her wrist bones in the dark. Like she can't spell worth a crap. It doesn't make any sense because she manages the
Hold on a minute. Did you
of
get
Saudi
mad at me
Arabia.
last night? Were you the one sending me those angry messages? Did I argue with you for 2 hours?
My new profile name is Melissa. Or what is Michelle?
I was shocked at the level of.
I understood everything she said. I'm just saying. I'm just kidding. No, I am really bad at spelling anything.
Okay, but just wrap our heads around that. Like explain that to us, because you are like it's kind of like being in the cave with Smog the dragon, and he's impenetrable. And the Hobbit's like, how are we going to kill this thing? And he rolls over and he laughs. He's like, you can't kill me. I'm Smog. And then you look and and then the Hobbit sees, there's one dragon scale that's missing.
Spell cat.
And that's spelling.
Spell what?
That's the scale. Spell cat.
So what's the story? Like, how does that happen in a person like you?
I feel like my brain skips over certain things. Like it just deprioritizes. Like I have all the tools I need to be able to actually spell. I don't go back and proofread anything because I'm always in a hurry. So
you lean heavily on autocorrect and like spell checker and all
Yes.
that.
Yeah, a lot
Like,
of
it
it
just
probably isn't even her not being able to spell it. It's her not caring enough to correct her fingers.
That's
just
what it-
going, blah, 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 blah.
yeah, that's a lot of it. And then I'll
I've
like
seen her get kind of creative with a couple words, so I'm like, that's not how you spell that at all. At all.
Yeah. Also, like, I think that I'm not diagnosed dyslexic, but I do think that, I don't know if it's like on a spectrum or something, but I do see letters mixed up a lot and numbers. So, and I read things very oddly, like I'll skip paragraphs. It's why I listen to all
When I sent her the contract for working with 1159, she was like, "Yep, good enough." And I was like, "Did you read it?" And she said, "Yeah, I read yep, it's really good." And I was like, "I don't even pay you in this contract." She's like, "Yeah, I know, I read it." And then her pride was so high that, she didn't want to pretend that she hadn't read it. She's like, "Fine, I don't even care." I was like, "All right."
Also, in my daily job, I do proofread and I'm very meticulous about how I send emails or messages. So it's like anything else in life, I'm like, they get the point.
Also, English is none of their first language, so
And they're
like,
way
whatever.
better at it than me.
Oh crap! Oh yeah, they use the Queen's English, so they're super.
I always like literally I'm like, you know English better than me, and it's your third language. So call me dumb.
Amazing. I'm not I would never call you dumb. I'm scared of you. So, Chase, what's something that you're like? All right, love you. Bye. Sorry, that's done. Could you guys hear him say the last part of my phone number?
Yeah.
Crap. Chase.
I made a note so Chase can take out your zip code and your phone.
I guess there's 9 people in the back door. You go and send me a text. Everybody can.
A touch of the tism. That's what you said to me.
Shut your
Just
mouth.
one brush stroke.
Oh gosh.
Just a little happy
also
tree like Bob Ross.
Like
just
THC. So I'm lazy.
I feel like that could be though, like our motto at 1159 Media, though, a touch of the tism. What about you, Chase?
Yeah, Chase. What's something?
Believe it or not, I have a hard time with technology. Like a really hard time.
Oh, you got to get caught up, man.
I know, right? Like here, just yesterday, my laptop was being really dumb. And instead of fixing it, I decided, why not just wipe it and start all over again? So that's what I did.
Oh my gosh. Are you kidding? That's like saying, oh, my car's sort of out of gas. Maybe I'll just get the engine replaced.
Yeah, that's about how good I am at troubleshooting things on computers. I'm just like, well, it was a good run there, bud. So we're going to wipe you and start all over again.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but like it's a new laptop.
It's brand new. Yeah, it's brand new. I've had it for like 3 months.
Oh, okay. I'm going to make the offer that I make to everybody else that works near me or something. I can set something up on your computer so that with your permission, I can remote in and fix your computer if you need.
Yeah.
Just somehow lock your photos.
Yeah.
Or don't, like Kent didn't.
No. I think there was a video of me and my wife doing sex on there when he got.
Also, a version of Kent when he was military fit. So that's fun. That's fun.
Yeah. It's like Patrick Bateman. I'm just fucking and looking in the mirror.
And nobody knows why I'm so attracted to him, but I know what's inside of that form. I know what's inside of the current body, And that's why I sent him nudes of me so that he knows the same. He's like, see, he's like, oh, I get it now. I know what could be. If I stick this out long enough, I know what could be. So technology is not your thing, Chase.
No, technology is not my thing. I'm like the old man who avoids it like the plague. Anything new, I'm just like, no. Like I don't have a new phone. My phone's like, I have like an iPhone 8. I've had it for 6 years, and
oh my gosh.
I don't get a new one because I don't want to learn a new phone. Like, that's kind of how my thought process is.
Well, give me a little comfort there. The iPhone is so good that when you get the new one, you turn it on and it's like, hey, do you have an old iPhone? And you're like, yeah. And it's like, bring it close to this phone. And you're like, okay. And you just proximity wise, and it's like, got it. All right, we're just going to make it just seem like the other phone. And you're like, okay, cool. Thanks.
That's very comforting in my trying times of need of a new phone.
I think you're a massive deceiver, though, because if you recall, I fell in love with your podcast because it was an absolute finished diamond. There was nothing that we had to do to tethers. I was like, this is brilliant. The production's brilliant. The post-production's like, so somewhere you're lying to us because you know things well enough that you do a better job than a lot of production houses. So
that's just my touch of the tism. I know how to make it sound good, and that's about all I can do on a computer.
See, that's the disturbing and frustrating part for me, because you're that musician is like, I don't know. I bought a guitar at a pawn shop, and now now everyone like listens to my music and I'm a millionaire. I'm like, I will buy the most expensive guitars and then
never open them.
Never open them. So screw you, Chase, is basically what I'm saying, I think. I love you.
I love you too.
Ken, what's something you're not good at? Because I'm struggling with this one because you are a master of all things in my
Two
mind.
things. One, and I might actually be like a lot of autistic. I might have much autism because I don't know if I just missed like the portion in elementary school when they taught us months. I just don't know my months.
I wasn't expecting something so fundamental.
So when somebody says, oh, yeah, that'll happen in August, that doesn't mean shit to me.
That's so sad. Wow.
So I'm like a toddler.
But my daughter's tried to help you.
Okay, but how many days is that? And then you have to do this with your hands.
Bean was so excited about teaching you the months of the year song at the beach. She practiced like the whole time. She's like, January, February, March. Kent's going to love this one.
That's just saying the months in a sing-songy voice.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
And I have learned Jason. I've learned 5 of the months actually because I've learned that they spelled Jason. So I know like July, August, September, October, November, but anything before those or after those, I'm fucking lost in the sauce. But I just recently learned that like maybe a year ago.
All right, well, let me help you. I'll push you forward a little bit. The first 6 months, JASO.
You have to understand something right now. I've made it 36 years without knowing my months. At this point, I'm just going to finish it out, not knowing them.
But I can help you, I think, here.
I also know January is the first month and December is the last month.
I'm going to help you. Jason is the last 5. The first 7, in horror movie parlance, is what everybody says when Jason kills them. Jason.
Okay.
So if you remember that, now you'd be like, I know exactly all my months.
And what really blows my mind is as you can say a month to to my wife, Heaven, and she knows how many days are in that month.
Oh, that's a knuckles
Which
thing.
is
You can do that on your knuckles.
Bananas to me.
Yeah,
Which
fingers
is like
or knuckles.
superhuman.
Not really.
It's kind of impressive.
Do you know what month your birthday's in?
I know. Well, it's easy. December.
Okay.
It's the same month with Christmas.
That's good.
So yeah, if it's like February and somebody goes, "Hey, do you care to come to the party that's going to be in April?" I just go, "Sure," because April could be 5 years away for all I know.
Jess, are you thinking what I'm thinking from a business standpoint when he says to me something like, "Hey, just wondering when I get paid?" I can just say, "You already got your February payment," and he'll be like, "Oh, yeah, of course I did."
You can't get me like that though, because Heaven keeps track of all my months and my appointments and everything. She keeps track of my VA appointments, all of the payments, and like, I don't know when I've got to go to a convention until she tells me like a few weeks prior.
That's amazing. You know, you'll be gone next week, the whole week. Oh, really? Okay, fine.
That's how it happens.
Start now? No, that's next week. Oh, wow.
And then the second thing, my second bit of tism, is my sense of direction is absolutely horrendous. I've been to the convention in the Sheraton Convention Center for Horror Hound 5 million times, and I still have to use the GPS to get there.
That's true. You used the GPS to get home but here's what's crazy. Kent used the GPS to the off-ramp to his house, and then I was like, maybe we can turn this off. And he's like, nah, not yet.
Yeah, and we're 30 minutes from my house.
Yeah, it's weird. Super weird.
I have to use the GPS to go everywhere.
People from other towns see Kent in their town and is like, hey, you're from around here. And Kent's like, I am?
He's like, and they're like, yeah, I actually seen you here in February. And I was like, how long ago was that?
Was I 7? That's amazing. Good things to know about all of you. All right, moving on.
You're not going to answer that?
Secretly, that was a segment called "Arm Yourself with Information About Your Enemies."
Haven't you ever noticed? I don't know if you've noticed, but whenever we're doing TCKs, if I have to add up how long it is between months, I'll stop for a minute and I'll go like Jason, January, July, August. Like, that's why it takes me forever, or I'll have a calendar pulled up so that I can count the months.
Maybe that's why you do the Google Street View on things too. Like you're not good at directions, but you're enamored by the fact that maps exist to show actual places.
Yeah.
So it's a strength and a weakness,
I guess.
Wow, that's crazy. All right, moving on. I'll tell you one thing about me. I feel like I struggled with this one because I think I've pretty much said everything on on 1159. I think I've told everybody everything I'm bad at. And they all know it. Like, you could literally say, what's the operator bad at? And the listeners could list out everything. And that's terrible to try to find your self-confidence in that bucket of syrup. But two things. One thing I'm really bad at is looking at I'm really bad at this. I'm really bad at looking at everybody that I ever come across and think about having sex with them. I'm bad at it because I don't do that. I do this thing Why would I not have sex with that person?
You're so horny.
It's the opposite.
That you have to talk yourself out of, why wouldn't I have sex with that person?
Exactly. It's like this weird, like, so you think you can dance where nobody knows they're on the show performing, and I'm constantly just kicking people off the show. It's so weird. But just know, if I've never had sex with you, you
probably make the cut.
You won the show. So that's good, right? Also, 5 years from now, we find out that I should be in prison. Who knew that either? Ah, man.
You do that with men too?
No, not as much.
Not as much, you said.
Not as much. No. Sorry. What I meant was no, comma. I didn't mean not as much as. I do another thing with men, which is funny because, like, I just enjoy. This sounds so stupid, but I think everybody's beautiful. And so I enjoy kind of like looking at people being like, yeah, but this is where you're beautiful. Like aesthetics often. But I like just finding beautiful things about people. Like there's something to just, I don't know. I think everybody's beautiful. But so I do a thing with men where I'll see a man and I will, in my head, I'll be like, that man's beautiful. That, like, this is what's beautiful about that man. And I have to keep myself from verbalizing it to someone that I'm with. Like, because I'll go whole hog on explaining why a man is disturbingly attractive to someone near me. And so my brain is constantly going, do I trust this person well enough that I can say this and they know of my problem, which is I talk about everybody that's beautiful, not because I'm gay. Or maybe I'm gay. Probably not.
You might be.
I have no
maybe
sexual attraction to men. What?
Maybe you're bi.
No, because see, that's the thing is like I think that I'm like, man, that man is attractive. I'm never like sexually like I never feel like, man, I would concede to that situation. No, there's certain things about where like I don't feel that way. I never have, and I really haven't. Like I am really into women, and I feel like I'm pushing this so hard that like it's almost not believable.
Uh-huh.
But it's true. Like I have no sexual attraction to men.
How much? Let's go to the Mount Rushmore of men to have sex. Ryan Reynolds, we talked about on the last episode. How much money would it take for you to have sex with Ryan Reynolds?
It depends on the pillow talk that we get to have afterward.
See, that's
like,
the thing,
is
though.
it valuable?
If the pillow talk is important in the question,
then
you're definitely at least a little bit bi. Like a little bit. And that's
Let me give you an example. Kevin Turner, who is our friend, he's your friend first.
Yeah.
And then I usurped a friendship with him based on the fact that you're friends with him. I think Kevin has some of the most beautiful eyes.
He does.
He does.
He does, yeah.
I'm telling you. And he's got a great beard. He's got beautiful eyes. But I'm not going to have sex with Kevin.
Right. Bud isn't juicy enough.
I feel a lot more safe talking about men that I find attractive that I'm not going to have sex with. But I feel like the moment I think of a girl that I could use as an example.
Oh, I think women do this too, because when we were at Horror Hound, it was me and you and Tracy and Jessica. We were sitting in the eatery there in the wherever all the food is, and I was halfway through a bite of pizza, and Jessica randomly said, "Oh, that guy has a big old dick."
It's true.
And I was like, in the middle of swallowing, like, what?
Yeah.
And there was a dude there with I don't know why she just I don't know if women can smell it or if but she's like, oh, that guy has a big dick. And it was because it was, do you remember that guy? He walked.
You mean the tall Milli Vanilli looking dude?
Milli Vanilli looking dude,
white girl.
Yeah, that was with that white girl. Yeah.
Beautiful blue eyes.
Yeah, she remembers now.
Now she knows. She agrees. She knows who we're talking about. It could
and
also
I
have
choked because I was like, what?
But partially it was that he was wearing that horror costume and his penis was out, and so we all
I didn't know that. Okay,
agreed.
I didn't see that.
He was pretty though. He had a pretty face. I feel like this went the wrong direction.
Not worried about his face.
We had to stop her from like reaching out. She was like, blah, 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 come here. Blah, 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 blah. Like, just stop it. You've had too many
mimosa.
Well, I feel like that went well.
Yeah, we all found out I'm a fucking idiot, so that's fun.
We found out that Jess, in her search of the spiritual realms, she will later in life find out that she does believe in dog. But she's pretending she's on the phone again.
She's on the PON.
She's on the
she's on the FONE.
All right. Well, it is Friday, which means that it's a creepypasta Friday.
Creepypasta. It's Creepypasta Friday. And today I actually have a story from the No Sleep Reddit. And I think, is No Sleep also a podcast? I believe it is.
It sounds
a podcast.
Yes.
It is a podcast. It's been around for a long time.
What came first, the No Sleep Reddit or the No Sleep podcast?
I don't know. I do know that they do a lot of creepypasta, though.
Okay, so the No Sleep Reddit doesn't exist because of the No Sleep podcast.
I think if I remember correctly, they started out doing creepypastas, and then people started directly submitting to No Sleep.
So No Sleep isn't technically affiliated with the No Sleep podcast. What I'm saying is the No Sleep Reddit isn't the No Sleep podcast's Reddit forum.
Possibly. It's like the Joe Rogan podcast that I'm starting is not affiliated with the Joe Rogan podcast.
Right. I just don't want to be ripping off their podcast stuff because I just wanted to make sure, because I've always understood it as No Sleep is a podcast that reads stories from the No Sleep Reddit.
Well, I think they're the same, but not every story on the No Sleep Reddit makes it onto the No Sleep podcast.
Right.
And is it off of the No Sleep podcast discussion Reddit or?
No, they don't discuss the podcast.
Okay.
They just submit stories like creepypastas.
Yeah, I think if you wanted to get your story on No Sleep, you have to submit it to their Reddit account.
The specific No Sleep podcast Reddit account.
Yes.
Okay.
So not all of them make it onto the show.
Yeah, and legally, I think we're okay because you've now attributed it to the No Sleep podcast. So from a fair use standpoint, we're good. So,
okay. I just wasn't sure how all this worked. So I wanted to. The story that I brought today is by Byfel's Disciple. That's who written. Byfel's Disciple. And the name of it is, I have an unusual job. The pay is good, but I really hate the moaning sounds that go with it.
That's the title?
Yeah, he's a cameraman for an exotic production company. That's the title.
Okay. All right. Wow.
I'm kidding. He's not a cameraman. I don't know what he is. This is a highly rated creepypasta, though, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so here we go. And Action. So, I croaked, ignoring her wince at my raspy voice. You're worried that your dead husband is haunting you when you fuck other men? I inhaled a long drag of the cigarette and then took care to blow the smoke just far enough from her face to avoid being rude. She didn't flinch, which meant she thought I had a lot to offer. Pretty little thing she was. Nearly 30 years old, though. I'd estimate the age of her modified chest to be about 3. Her good looks stemmed mainly from the fact that she'd clearly avoided a lifetime of hard work. I probably would have been equally attractive 25 years ago had my twin passions been vanity and stupidity. This gal was taken care of. Her expression glazed for just a moment, I noticed. No, she offered timidly. It's nothing like that. She looked up at me with wide eyes that had been conditioned to elicit sympathy, I noticed. It's just, she bit her lip. It's just that Raymond's been gone a month, but I don't think that he's gone, you know. I want to know if I should put him behind me, or, she shed a tear. It started out small. His favorite sweater would be hanging in the closet, but the next morning it was lying on the bedroom floor. Not a big deal, you know. She looked around conspiratorially, despite the fact that no one was in the brightly lit sun porch besides the two of us. As if sensing my thought, Sophocles rubbed up against my skirt.
Sophocles.
Sophocles? What is that?
It's a philosopher. It's probably his pet cat. Sophocles.
Oh, okay, yeah, because it talks here about scratch. Okay. As if sensing my thought, Sophocles rubbed up against my skirt. I reached down and scratched his ear without turning away from my client. She stared right back at me, looking over the swirling vapor dancing from the teapot's spout. But then, she breathed, flushing slightly pink, I would be, in an intimate moment. Masturbating or fucking? I asked bluntly. Her pink face quickly turned crimson. The first one. I'd hear sudden banging on my bedroom door. It would go away when I stopped. What I was doing. What makes you think it's your dead husband? I pressed her, crushing my cigarette and lighting a new one. She gazed down at the table. He would always interrupt me if it wasn't about anything naughty. She looked up at me in desperation. It just feels like him. Does that make any sense? She bit her lip again, I noticed. But the worst thing was last night. That's what made me decide that it was time to talk with a professional. God, her little pauses and cute blushing were irritating. I really wanted to slap her. Explain, I ordered cavalierly before taking in that first drag. A long pull of the cigarette really makes people like her worth it. What was her name? Cindy? She seemed like a Cindy. But the Cindys of the world always scatter from my mind for just a few seconds during that first sensual puff. In those moments, I feel so capable. Last night, I coughed. Reality set back in. Listen, Cindy. It's actually Ann Samantha. You must have jilled off thousands of times in your life. I'm sorry, jilled? Well, are you Jack from the waist down? She laid a dainty little hand right on her mouth. Oh, my, no, I'm all Jill, I suppose. I grunted. So what's so different about jilling off now? Her eyes got wide again, but I had learned long ago to suppress the slap urge. Well, when I'm alone in bed, I hear breathing. Only when I'm alone. It's unmistakable. Well, how hard are you working? I asked pointedly. She dropped the hand from her face. The breathing is coming from the other side of the room. It's not me. I gave her an unblinking fixed stare. She returned it. I finally turned away when a lump of ash fell from my cigarette onto the table. Here, I offered, pouring a cup of tea from the pot. I rested my hand on the painted grapefruit and lavender design to hold it steady. Drink this. She took it obediently, blew on it, and then took a sip and winced. Too hot. I asked. Oh, wait, no, he said that. She said that. She took it obediently, blew on it, then took a sip and winced. Too hot? I asked sharply. Too bitter, she responded coolly. Too bad, I finished. Drink the whole cup if you want to see what's on the other side. She sipped as I spoke. You've told me that Raymond's been gone a month. You're brokenhearted, but you can't move on if he's still here. The shock was terrible, wasn't it? A hit and run while he was crossing the street right in front of your own home. The worst moments of your life were sprinting through the house, knowing what was outside before you saw it. The hope was the worst because you knew that your husband's broken body would be lying in that street. But the smallest part of you hoped that it wasn't true, and that hope made it hurt so much more. You found him in a gory heap just beyond your front yard, and the future you'd imagined drained away like the blood through your fingertips. And it was in that exact moment, kneeling in the middle of the street at 7:13 p.m., that you realized your life had been permanently changed to a different path of someone else's choosing. I took an aggressive puff of the cigarette and pressed forward. The sun set while you held his already cooling hand, and you realized that this would be the first sunset you'd spend knowing he was dead, and that you would end every day with this thought on your mind from now on. She blanched. I never told you that it was at sunset. I never even said it was a car accident. I narrowed my eyes at her. The guilt was more than you expected, because part of you had actually cared about Raymond. Yes, he was old and boring. My God, you would never let him forget it. But he just felt so fucking fragile when you crushed his spine with the car. He'd felt just so fucking fragile when you crushed his spine with the car that the anger didn't seem to make sense in the moment. I blew smoke through my nostrils. He knew it was you, Cindy. You pulled the car into the driveway and rinsed off the blood so fast that no one even thought to check it for evidence, but he knew. As he was laying dying, unable to speak through shattered lungs, he stared at you without hate, malice, or vengeance. It was simple confusion, Cindy. Raymond never considered that you did it for the cash. His dying thought was wondering how he'd somehow been a bad husband, and he felt guilty for not knowing why. Her eyes were shimmering with tears that I believed were genuine, but I didn't give a shit. Her cup of tea was empty. I was so careful, she whispered in a pitch that was just below the only dogs can hear it threshold. I rolled my eyes. No, you weren't, sweetie. People are just stupid, and that's the only reason you've gotten away with everything so far. Really, putting $619,000 in cash in a briefcase is just asking for trouble. Her jaw hung in shock. How could you possibly have known? I blew one last long stream of smoke from the cigarette. If I were in your shoes, sweetie, I'd be much more worried about how much poisonous oleander you had just had with your tea. She slammed her hands on the table and grabbed the edges so hard that the empty cup rattled in its saucer. What did you do to me? I pulled the cigarette butt from my lips and quashed it in her empty cup. Make peace with whatever God or devil awaits your heart, I answered flatly. Then I turned to look across the sun porch at the ghost only I could see. Raymond was a disgusting mess. His shattered spine had no hope of holding his torso rigid, so every limp limb flopped at unholy angles. A fountain of black blood oozed from his white lips and nose. His intestines protruded from his stomach like ground beef squeezed through grimy fingers, and the coils hung to the ground like sausage links. He stared at his young widow. Or should I say, the one eye that hadn't popped to jelly was staring. I really think that Cindy would have been unnerved if she'd known he was there. Instead, she focused on me. How long? When will it start? She asked in utter petrification. In just a second, sweetie, I quipped casually, lighting up another cigarette. Raymond grunted. He wasn't much for talking. What the lolling tongue dangling impotently where his massive jaw should have been. What with the lolling tongue dangling impotently where his missing jaw should have been. Oh, and one last thing, sugar. I leaned forward and gently rested my palms on the tabletop. Raymond wants to let you know that dying really, really fucking hurts. She froze. Behind her, despite lacking a mouth, I could swear that Raymond was smiling. The convulsing started then, but it didn't stop for a long time. Do you have any idea how far mouth foam can spray when a dying woman just won't stop thrashing? I almost felt bad for her when I realized how hard she was trying to cry. That's a fucking difficult task, though, when your throat is closing up. That's when Raymond sauntered over to her jittering body, knelt down, and gently grazed his dead fingertips across her cheek. He looked passionately into her eyes, and just for a moment, I think she looked back at him. Then she was gone. The ghost corpse took in the sight for a few moments before I interrupted him with a forced clearing of my throat. He glanced at me with his lone functioning eye. It was damp. I do appreciate your clear instructions on how to locate the briefcase. If everything is as promised, the bill will be settled. He grunted and waved his limp, floppy arm at the body of his dead wife. Her? I'll leave her in the backyard of your house. I snuck an oleander plant into the garden during one of my nightly visits. They're not uncommon here in Alabama, and they will explain her accident death nicely. I wrinkled my nose, and I have to say, I'll be grateful to stop sneaking into your house each night to spook this murderous little witch. Her masturbatory moans made me gag, and I hate crawling through windows. I'm not 50 anymore, you know. I took in a deep breath of nicotine-laced air. He grunted again, dangling his unresponsive arm above the dead woman once more. I asked in a genuine curiosity as I approached the corpse. There's something more? He shook more eagerly, spraying a fine mist of ghost blood onto the woman's purple face. Oh my, I whispered. I bent down and pried a ring from the woman's rubbery hand. There must be 2 dozen diamonds on this, I sang. Then I slipped it onto my middle finger. It fit perfectly. Yes, thank you very much. I do accept tips for a job well done, you gentleman, you. This time I knew Raymond was smiling, and I was too. My name is Patricia Barnes, and I'm a hitman for the ghosts that only I can see.
Wow. That was good. I really liked it. At first, I thought that maybe the person talking was the embodiment of her dead husband, but that's even better.
Yes.
That he's all broken and he's, I like that.
I didn't. I liked that one.
I did too.
What'd you bring today, Op?
Well, I just realized I didn't do the segment called unboxing. Should I do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, this segment, what I do is I go to step outside of my stew into the garage and I grab a random box. It's brand new, has something in it that I bought. And then I unbox it so we can find out how dumb I am.
Be hilarious if you just pulled out a massive double-sided veiny black dildo. You're like, shit, what were the chances?
It's not going to happen.
You hold it up and it's just fucking flopping around.
So this is something I bought. It's a box. It's maybe, what would you say?
Got batteries in it, whatever it is.
10, yep. It's 10 by 10 box. 10 is a cube. It's a 10 inch by 10 inch. Maybe around that. All right. This is I'll go ahead and I'll preface these unboxings with a retail price. So this box is $1,700.
Can I take a guess at it?
Yep.
Is it a Nomoko sound capsule?
It's a Namano sound capsule, you big giant jerk. How did you read that already? Oh, it's a sound capsule on the side of it. Namano. It came from Torin Larsen in Trondheim, Norway.
Oh, it was a gift?
I learned about this on Kickstarter, which is why I bought it, because I was like, well, I don't know why I bought it. So now I have to open it, and that is going to be a challenge. Oh, I see what they're doing. They're like, you got to open it like that. So I'm opening it now, and it's a sound capsule, and people are like, what's a sound capsule? I was like, oh my gosh, this could be great wow, this box is difficult to open. Oh, I see. I'm doing it completely wrong. So the Namano sound capsule purports to be the new solution for remote podcasting, like recording podcasts and audio from a remote location. Ooh, it opens, unfolds sideways. So I was like, well, I need that because I don't think I've got any of that. But I did.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what $1,700 worth of a sound capsule looks like. Yay.
Like a little trash can.
It's like a little tiny trash can. And inside of it, if you push a button on the side of it, 2 buttons like a Star Wars little robot, the top comes off. Aw, look. Inside of it, there's a little tiny sound capsule that records everything that you say. And next to it are these little tiny mics that you put on people's bodies. And then it uploads everything you do to the cloud, like everything.
That's actually really cool.
It is. And so here's how I'm going to use it. When I go to conventions and stuff, I walk in with this little guy and like Sigourney Weaver will be like, what is that? And I'll be like, it's the thing that we're recording you on while we talk to you. She's like, what? I'm in. And then we'll record her. And then it also, I don't know if I need to even say it, but it has artificial intelligence built into it. So it automatically does some post-production for you. Ooh, Chase just climaxed. That's weird, but kind of cool. Anyway, so that's a Nemono sound capsule. If you want one for yourself, suck it. You can't have one because they're not for sale yet.
All right. And that will never get used, but it's really cool.
You're going to see it at the next thing that we're at together.
I would be shocked if I see that thing.
Okay, fine. Here's something else that you can sink your teeth into. I'm going to call this one Your Lost Cousin in Kentucky.
Okay.
Titled Your Lost Cousin in Kentucky. Imagine you're simply ambling along as you do Kentucky style, perhaps humming a tune to yourself. What would you be humming if you're ambling along in Kentucky? What do you hum?
Probably No One Needs to Know Right Now, but Shania Twain.
Okay. That song
No,
playing.
that's not it. Nope.
And you accidentally kick.
Handsome man. I've been busy making big plans, and no one needs to know right now. We'll have a little girl, a little boy, a little Benji we call Leroy, and no one needs to know right now.
I didn't recognize that song until you started singing it, and then I was like, oh, that's the song Jess was singing at the food table.
Yeah, when she saw that big
Milli
old
Vanilli walked. Yeah. She was like, I'll be right back. Doodle-doo. Watch my mimosa so nobody drugs it. But don't watch it. That's what I think what she said. When she
It's the song from Twister with Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton.
Okay.
A song about a tornado coming back 30 years later and getting vengeance.
It's like Sharknado, but real.
That's the same tornado that killed my dad.
It's back. All right, so you're walking along, you're singing your song, perhaps humming your tune, and you accidentally kick a lump of earth. The dirt unveils a twinkle of gold, and suddenly, bam, you're face to face with your new best friend, former long lost cousin, a shiny 1840s gold coin.
Oh, God damn it.
And then, but wait, it gets even worse, better. And then there are more, like a literal jackpot. Just another casual day for our anonymous hero in Kentucky. Our lucky finder, who prefers to remain anonymous, stumbled upon an Indiana Jones level treasure while sauntering through a cornfield in Kentucky. This wasn't just any treasure, though. This was a whopping collection of, get this, over 700 gold coins dating back between 1840 and 1863, christened by government.com as the Great Kentucky Hoard. We're talking $10 gold coins sporting a bust of Lady Liberty, rare $20 gold Liberty double eagle minted in 1863 coins, and $1 coins with the regal Indian princess on it. It's like winning the historical lottery. Now, imagine the euphoria that followed as our overjoyed anonymous friend swept his camera over the loot. He exclaimed, "This is the most insane thing ever. Those are all $1 gold coins, $20 gold coins, $10 gold coins. And look, I'm still digging them out." If anyone says you can't hear a jaw dropping on video, they're wrong. You can hear his jaw dropping. But just to keep things on the level, our hero enlisted the services of Jeff Garrett, the rare coin dealer and numismatic guarantee company, NGC, for authentication and preservation purposes. They helped him remove the freshly plucked from the dirt look, identified some rare error coins, and gave the whole collection a spit and polish. Now, the mystery of why and how this cash got buried in the first place could give Agatha Christie a run for her money. And if you know who Agatha Christie is, that's a big run for her money because she does mysteries. But the clever folks at government.com, they have a theory. They suggest that the coins were tucked away as an insurance policy during the Civil War chaos. Because let's face it, who wants to haul around 700 gold coins when there's a war going on, right? I wouldn't. I probably would, actually, but I shan't. When the dust settled post-1865, the owner might have taken the secret of the buried treasure to their grave, or maybe they just had a really bad memory. So Kentucky was in a tricky spot during the Civil War.
They actually probably fucking got killed.
Yeah, I was going to say, because Kentucky, tricky place to be during the Civil War. It was technically, quote unquote, a southern state where slavery was legal, but it also had a strong unionist vibe. So imagine Kentucky plus Oregon.
Right.
Portland plus Kentucky. That was like what we're dealing with here. So it declared neutrality in the Civil War. Did you know that you guys were neutral in the Civil War?
Yeah, half of us fought for the Union and half of us fought for the Confederacy.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a big point of contention with the, I believe with the Hatfields and the McCoys also, right?
Yes. Yeah, it split, exactly. So you got basically an ideological and geographic split of a people. So both sides, like you said, they both recruited from the state. And then along came Confederate General Leonidas Polk, who decided to pay a surprise visit in 1861. Kentucky didn't appreciate this breach of their neutral stance and decided to join the conflict on the Union side after that. They were like, we're joining the Union. Enter Ryan McNutt, not to be confused with the dude that blew his head off a couple years ago. Ronnie McNutt on video. This dude's a conflict archaeologist. So everybody either loves him or they're trying to kill him. Because what he does is he determines archaeologically things that were produced during a time of conflict. So he suggests that the coins may have been buried to keep them safe from the Confederate John Hunts Morgan's raid. The fact that these were federal coins, not Confederate coins, implies the owner might have been doing business with the federal government, actually, and not something you want to advertise when the Confederates come to town. So, this anonymous coin collector back in the day wasn't the only one that saved their coins. Another fellow with a penchant for burying things allegedly hid $80,000 in gold coins on his Lexington farm. That's close to a host that we live on the show here to have
30 minutes from my house.
There. I wasn't going to say it, but you did. So Alas, He kicked the bucket before he could go on his own treasure hunt. So his bounty still eludes modern day treasure seekers, Kent. So hence another reason for me to jump on a Southwest Airlines plane and come there. So what's the final haul of our unnamed heroes find? Andrew Salzberg, Executive Vice President of the Certified Collectibles Group, CCG, estimates it to be over $2 million in value.
Oh,
others, ever the party poopers, are guessing it's closer to 1 million because they need to throw their hat in the ring. But one thing's sure, these coins are many of them are super rare. And it's like winning the gold medal at the Olympics of gold medals. So
this was just laying out in the cornfield.
Yeah. Not even like, well dug, because this dude just kicked it and was like, oh, what the heck? What the heck?
Oh, he didn't even have a metal detector.
No, he just kicked the dirt and there was a coin. And he was like, what? So he just started digging. They were like right under the surface. So that makes me think that they were super lazy too.
Actually, I would say what happened probably is that they tilled it to plant corn or something.
Turned it up.
And probably turned it up. Yeah.
Yeah. So this coin dealer, Jeff Garrett, that we mentioned, summed it up by saying, quote, finding one mint condition 1863 double eagle would be an important numismatic event in the history of coin collecting. Finding nearly a roll of superb examples is hard to even comprehend. It's like if you opened your lunchbox expecting an apple and found a golden goose inside of an apple, inside of your lunchbox, wrapped inside of a Russian doll who somehow avoided the political turmoil that is every Russian conflict since the Borgias. End quote. He didn't really say all that. There you got it, though. Just another day in Kentucky.
I cannot wait to watch this video of him digging this up after we get done here. So can we be done? I've already got it pulled up.
All right, everybody go check out the video because you can't watch it on the podcast. We're going to leave it right there. We love you so much. Go watch it. Hugs, everybody.
Okay, bye.
Bye.